let's crack on with our first guest of this session. So please join me in putting your PPMA hands together for Steve from Industore. Come on down, Steve. There we go, and let's shake hands as though we've never met before.
All right, hello. Good
there
to
we
see you.
go. Come on in.
Thank
come
you
on
very
in.
much.
Right. Let's take the big picture of you first of all. Industore, what do you do?
So we're exclusive UK distributors for Hänel and have been since 1997. So we're part of the Richard H. Powell & Partners Group, which is a family business, been going since 1972.
Okay.
And Hänel have been going since the 1950s. And again, another family business.
Right. So that is what you do. What do you actually do though? So in terms of the solutions that you provide customers with, what's the problem that they've got?
Yep.
And through working with Hänel, what do you do to solve or provide solutions for those problems?
So a lot of people come to us initially when they're short on space, they've got issues with products they can't get access to frequently. And we're able to, we've got a team of architects and solution designers as well. We can look at that, do all the CAD models, CAD drawings for people, do a full analysis of their parts department, of their manufacturing site, whatever it might be, and can then propose a solution to save space, improve traceability, improve ergonomics. There's lots of benefits really.
And this is where the product and innovation comes in because, hey, look, I need more space at home. I need more space in my studio. And there's lots of different ways I can kind of like rack and stack and hide things away. Not a way I can put things in the loft even, but that doesn't mean that it's easy for me to get at.
No.
So retrieval is a really important part of storage and archival as well. And that's where your systems come in. I tell you what, while we kind of chat through what they are, you've got a quick video that you want to run that I think will just help us to understand before we go over to Job on your stand. So let's take a look at one of the systems we're talking about here. This is the Lean-Lift.
That's it, This is our Hänel Lean-Lift. So as you can see, traditionally people store things on shelving, racking, around engineering spares, parts departments, label storage, whatever it might be. Great, but you can only go as high as head height. And often you're wasting a lot of space. You see between the pitch of the shelving, you're wasting a lot of space because these are all fixed locations. What the Hänel Lean-Lift offers, however, every time the tray goes in and out the access opening, as it's doing here, it's reading the height on the tray and finding the best location within the machine to store it. So instead of losing a lot of air, storing free air, as you're doing here, all of that can be condensed down with only 37.5 millimeters from the top of the product to the bottom of the tray above. So you can never achieve that on static racking.
So just to replay that to make sure I understand it, with that shelving system we just saw there, those shelves are what, 12, 18 inches apart, no matter the height of the product. But in the Lean-Lift here, those shelves are all adjustable heights that match to the product, so you are not storing air. And in terms of storage then, again, we'll just see the other frame in a moment, you are then storing that in that system in a big vertical storage.
And where, as opposed to going high, you might rely on ladders or step ladders for people to get at the top. Obviously, that's dangerous. Takes a while. It's a long thing, long access time. Whereas actually, with this machine could be 20 meters tall. It could be as 15 meters tall. Use the full height of the facility that you couldn't achieve with that. I think we're going to see now inside the machine. So it shows here the density that you've got the products within it. And a great going through mezzanines, through floors, through shelving. So if you, for example, you've got an engineering department on the ground floor and you've got the manufacturing facility above, you want to be able to access these parts as well from multiple levels.
I'm going to say it's kind of like the ultimate dumb waiter.
Yes, exactly. But we're the smart dumb waiter.
A smart dumb waiter. I like that very much indeed.
So
that looks great. And digital integration, yes.
And that's really important, really. So a lot of customers, they want to be able to trace where the parts have gone.
Absolutely.
And by doing this, because the machine spreads the components throughout the system, it means that it will then pick the optimum route to present them to you. So if you're going around with static racking, you're going to go do a loop of the warehouse, or you're going to do a loop of the kit area, and then go back and start again and keep doing this. Whereas the machine will present to you the tray in a perfect ergonomic height, at the exact product you want, with a light shining on it. You can scan a barcode, you can, whatever it might be that you want to ensure that you've got the traceability of the part, and then pick it straight away.
Yes, the the connectivity behind that, and particularly if you are linking things into ERP systems, for example, that's all possible as well.
Absolutely, yeah. We do that with a majority of customers tend to do that. And we've got people that start off, they might be their first foray into automated storage, and they've gone with a single machine for the parts department, and they just want to keep it nice and simple, enter a part number, call a tray down, whatever it is, the machine's capable of doing that. But then we've got a lot of customers that will start with one machine, and then they'll end up with 30, 40 machines across the site, and they want to improve the software, improve the integration.
We can see some of the, we just saw some of the advantages there, that the benefits. One that wasn't on there was security, because also if you've got product, whatever it is, dotted around a warehouse on shelves, it can be quite easy for stuff to go missing in that context. But when it is securely stored in one of those storage retrieval systems, it's not so easy to get stuff, and there is an audit trail of what goes in and out as well.
Absolutely, yeah. So we've got, depending on what level of security customers want to go to, you can have it so you've got to swipe a card to access it, enter a PIN number, biometrics, or whatever it might be to allow you to even access the tray. And because you're only ever presented with one tray, as opposed to having a bay of shelving, you can limit who has access to what shelves. So it will present it down. It can also take a photograph of the tray as it's presented to the operator, and then after the item's been sent back. So you could have been legitimately presented with item A with a light on it. You've confirmed you've picked that, but while you're there, you like the look of that one. The photo will then be able to be stored, and you can go back and see what member of staff took what item, and who was logged on, and exactly what time it was taken.
Your colleague Job has been very patiently waiting over at the Industore stand, eager to show us this in action.
Brilliant.
Is there any other context that we need to provide before we go over live to Job?
So I think it'd be good for him to give you an overview of the machine. It'd be nice to see inside the machine. So over on our stand A122, you can see inside the machine through a Perspex side. And I think when we look in that, you'll really get an understanding of how close the products can be stored and how much you could potentially get on a small footprint.
Great. Well, in which case, why don't we go over live to the Industore stand and see if Job can hear us and if we can hear you. Hello, Job.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you loud and clear, and we can see some product over your left shoulder there. We've just been hearing from Steve here, the big picture about what you do, and in particular, the challenges that your systems help to address on a factory floor. We've seen the presentation, we've spoken at a fairly high level, but we would love to see this in action.
Yeah, leave it to Steve to do all of the easy work, to leave me to explain the technicalities of it. So I've heard some of what Steve's had to say, and obviously he's covered it really well, but I think sort of seeing the machine in action is really the best way to get an overview of who we are and what we do. And if anybody did want to pop over to stand A122, then obviously they can see it firsthand. What we're looking at here is the Hänel Lean-Lift that Steve has been talking about. So this is our vertical automated storage unit. At the moment it's presenting you with an ESD tray. So this obviously works very well for electronics, etc. That tray is now being recalled back into the machine shortly to present me with the next order, if you like. You'll see the little red light on the unit in front of me. That's the picture light that Steve was talking about. So that is indicating the location of the next item that I should be picking. You'll also see on the LED matrix just in front of me here, there's a little blue arrow again giving further indication to the item that I should be picking. And it'll also tell me the number of items that I need to be removing. Somewhat unfortunately, it's presented me with a blank tray where staff have been storing their bags for the last couple of days here, which is about typical. But again, what this is showing is the exact location of the item that I should be picking, so there's no ambiguity. Particularly for industries that we'll be seeing around PPMA today, there are so many items that look remarkably alike. Something might be, a sort of 12mm gauge washer, for the sake of argument. The good thing about the LED light and the blue arrow here is that you could put that right next door to a 16mm gauge washer that looks almost identical, and there's no fear that your picker's going to accidentally get that incorrectly. So you won't ever pick the wrong item. You know exactly which part you're getting from the tray at any given moment. Now, in terms of the variety of what we can put on the trays, there's really no limit as to what that could be. What we've done here is split this tray in half. So you've got a couple of individual dividers that are here, smaller parts ideal for that, and then obviously we can leave larger sections. Now, if customers have their own totes that they're happy and comfortable with, we can accommodate accommodate those within the tray, but obviously we're able to provide additional storage requirements within the lift as well. And again, what's happening now is the order is recognised to have been picked. The tray is being recalled back into the machine and the next item is being drawn out. As Steve sort of alluded to, we're very often integrating with systems that the customers already have, but the machines also have a proprietary system. So where you don't have a WMS, where you don't have an ERP or another type of application, we are able to provide that for you as well. Again, another ESD tray has come out here, which just demonstrates the versatility of the machine, really. I'm not sure that Steve has really spoken too much about the Rotomat yet, which is the next product that we have in our stands. We'll just take a little walk over to here. Works very much the same. So what we're talking about here is very dense storage on a very small footprint. This works on a sort of carousel principle, so it's constantly turning around on its own axle. And it's presenting the item that you've requested, or again the ERP system has instructed for the machine to bring, and it'll render that at the quickest possible time. Obviously these are baby lifts that we have on the stand today. You know, if we wanted to reach the height of the NEC here, which I think is about 15 meters, that wouldn't be a problem, and indeed we can go taller than that, as wide, as deep as you like. Each carrier can take up to a ton, sort of off the shelf, and obviously there are deeper conversations if there's a need to store anything sort of bigger than that or heavier than that. There are lots of built-in safety features, which tends to be one of the sort of key features of our machines here. So if I interrupt the flow, the machine will automatically stop because it's recognised that an article, in this case my arm, has broken the light barrier that runs across here, and it just ensures that there's safety for the workers here. I think that Steve spoke a little bit about people using ladders or people stretching or bending. Everything that we do is designed to be at a very ergonomic height, so I'm never stretching to lift anything heavy, I'm never bending, I'm just taking the item that I need, zapping that with perhaps a handheld scanner. Again, we've got a little indicator here which is telling you the slot that you need to pick from. That's slot 21, which is this, and it's telling me that I need to get 3 items out of there. So take those 3 items, scan that, put it onto the conveyor, put it onto your robot for the sake of argument, move along, and that's sort of a whistle-stop tour of how the lifts work.
Brilliant. So that is the Lean-Lift. That is the Rotomat. I've just got a quick question. I don't know if it's one for you, Job, or if it's one for you, Steve, in the studio here, but reliability, resiliency, redundancy, if you are storing so much of your critical parts, product, whatever it is, in one of these systems here, obviously you need that to be as reliable, resilient and redundant as possible, so that if something were to happen, and I don't know if you talk about mean time between failure on these, you still somehow have access to it or the ability to get at it manually or in some other way, so that you are not stopping your entire operations because of a gripper arm problem or some accessor problem. What story have you got around that?
Yeah, well, maybe I can jump in at that in the first instance, and Steve can explain it a little further, but it works quite well to sort of demonstrate that in action, I suppose. So in the unlikely event that something went wrong, one of your forklift guys drives a forklift into the side of the machine and the sensors go down. There are a number of sensors built into the lift here so that we're able to switch from one to the other. So you're never in a position where the sensor is broken, as an example, and the machine isn't able to retrieve that. More than that, there is a redundancy feature in here. So again, if there were a catastrophic failure, which obviously is very rare, what we're able to do is a manual override to that. And all that'll ask me to do in this instance is just to close the access opening here off. I'll type in my override code, which obviously is defined by the customer. So you may say only senior management have the capacity to do this. They'll type in their override code, retrieve the item that they need, and when they need to retrieve that, they'll simply lift the access opening back open here. Tray is already in position, you pick that item, and when you move on to the next item, you repeat the process. That happens until one of our in-store engineers is able to make it to site. Steve will be able to talk a little bit more about the sort of coverage that we offer as a company, but suffice to say we're one of the larger, if not the largest operator in the UK and Ireland, so you're never more than sort of 50 miles from an Industore engineer, which means we're really able to sort of swing into action very quickly, get somebody who's trained by the manufacturer, who knows this through and through, and is able to get to site to repair any issues that you may have. Perhaps more than that, what separates Industore is that we'll work with you to ensure that you have a solution that's suitable for you. So we'll design the solutions with you so that we're able to split that stock between this lift and potentially another lift that you might have next door to it, or potentially on traditional racking as well. So you're never ever going to be caught short when you're dealing with an Industore solution.
Super stuff. Job, thank you very much indeed for showing us the Lean-Lift and the Rotomat there. Great demo. I don't think we will be able to come back to you later on, but if anyone does want to pop over and see these in action, then head over. It's literally over there in the corner. You can probably see it from the theatre, but don't go until we've asked some questions to Steve as well. But for now, Job, thank you very much indeed. Put your hands together for Job, everybody.
Thank you, Job.
Thank you.
Do you know, this takes me back to when I started in industry, and I used similar sort of systems, but for data storage.
Yep.
So good old-fashioned DLT tape cartridges and automated tape libraries, and being able to store, retrieve with little barcode scanners, put them into tape decks, and so on. And this is very similar, but it's a storage and retrieval system for almost anything.
Exactly,
and that takes me on to my next question, because clearly there is a great deal of flexibility with what you can put into one of these systems. As we apply that to the industry where we are here today, PPMA, how are you finding customers in this industry using one of these systems?
It's very varied. So a lot of the time it will be engineering stores that will be storing them. Obviously critical, they can get the parts out and they take up a small footprint. People want to put their the footprint of the manufacturing facility over for producing the goods and producing the products. So they want to get the engineering stores as small as possible. So that's one of the key areas for us. Change parts as well. So a lot of bottling plants and food and beverage manufacturing, they'll have change parts. So where the Lean-Lift particularly excels at that is we have a docking trolley that can fit on the front, allows you to pull the tray clear of the machine, wheel the whole tray over. So traditionally these would be stored in bins on the floor. In a lot of places you go to, it's stored in bins on the floor, and they're taking up a large footprint. Having them all on a shadow board that can be left from the machine, wheeled over, the old one's taken off and tray returned. There's no manual handling issues with that as well. So there's a lot with that. There's also sample storage. So sample storage is huge for us as well. So a lot of companies will have to hold their product for a certain period of time. You don't want to be taking up a lot of space with this. And the great thing is the machines can be temperature controlled. So if you do want the machines temperature controlled, we can do that. So that's perfect for that industry as well.
And then again, just taking that step back, Hänel, Industore. What's the value add then when you identify a requirement for one of these systems? Let's say sample storage, you're a food and beverage manufacturer, whatever. You need to store those samples. You go, right, well, we've got this many cans of fizzy drink, and we need to store them for this long. They engage with you. What do you do? What's your engagement with them to get this kit on site? And then I think we touched on it with Job there a moment ago in terms of service and support. What does the ongoing engagement look like? So
from the initial phone call or email or chatting to us today at the show, we'll be able to come out, have a look at the site, understand what they're doing, go through a lot of the questions they're probably going to have. We'll then carry out a full and detailed site survey. So if it was, say, for example, into an engineering stores, we'd come out, spend half a day, measure all the products, work with them to capture the data, measure the location, look at what is the right solution. So when we go there, we never go preconceived whether it's going to be Lean-Lift, Rotomat, or another type of solution. But we'll always come away and be able to put together a proposal at that point. We'll then go back, we'll work with them. So a lot of companies, the data is very important as well. So we've got a whole data engineering team, we've got architects that work with us. All of this is in-house. So we do not charge for any of the service as well that's set up to that. This is all complimentary. Then after a period of time, once you're ready to place an order and you decide which is the right solution for you, we've then got all our engineers, as Joe mentioned, all our engineers are employed by us. All our installation teams are employed by us. We've got 5 separate installation teams across England, Ireland, Scotland and Wales that every week are working on the machines, installing the machines. Engineers as well across the entire UK and Ireland. So we've got all of that support as well. And all our engineers carry £25,000 of the most commonly used spares on their vans, which is another value add from us as well. Is we won't ever ask you or suggest that you carry critical spares, because we've got that. We've got the 2 distribution centres, one here in Wales, in Cardiff, where our head office is, and another one in our Dublin offices as well. We've got another demo centre over there. So we've got the support for this as well. So one less thing to store.
Well, let's see if our live audience in the theatre have been storing up some questions, if we can retrieve those around about now. Does anyone have any questions for Steve based on what we've been talking about, what Industore does, how it does it, and of course we saw the demo from Job, who's now joined us in the theatre as well to maybe ask some awkward questions of his own, who knows. Does anyone have any questions on what we've just been looking at? Yes, we have a question at the back there. Here's the microphone.
Hello,
Hello.
and thank you so much for the presentation. My name is Francis. I'm flying all the way here from Sweden, working with a company called Tacton Systems. It's a configure price code solution. We can talk about that later. But fantastic technology. I was just very curious, for an average factory floor, where it's probably around 200 to 500 square meters of storage space, how long does it take you to actually transform that into what you actually have here in terms of the full installation and being able to support them go through the whole process?
Yeah, so we'll take as long as it takes, really. So we'll come out, we'll probably bring it, if it's something that sort of area, we'd probably bring a few people in the team for the initial meeting to survey it. It's great if the customer's got the data, but often they haven't got that, so we'll help them capture that. We often then invite you down to our demo centre in Cardiff or Dublin, whichever's nearest, because it's great to see the machine in action. And then what we can do, when we've learned what's important to you, whether it might be the space saving or the traceability or particular software aspect, we're then able to demo that to you in a nice environment. This normally takes half a day or so. That helps you feel completely comfortable with the machine. It also means that you've had a chance to look around the machine and really identify it. And then from that point, from placement of order, it varies on the spec and the installation, but a sort of 16 to 18 weeks, potentially maybe a little bit longer from installation. And then we typically allow a week per machine to build. But again, it varies totally. You might decide that you want 3 machines being built within 1 week, or you want 1 week machine built a week. We do a lot with a lot of customers actually, that to help them transition from their existing storage, we'll build 1 machine, help them install it, we'll do all the software setup, that will clear the space, so it's phased. So it totally varies on customer, but we'll work with you. So.
And I guess there's a whole software architecture piece as well, depending upon what ER system, what back end you've got, and ensuring you've got the right integration with that.
Absolutely,
so not just the tin on the floor, it's making sure that the back-end systems are all, are, exchanging information correctly. And then, of course, there's a whole process engineering piece around it as well. There is the people, the training part of that as well. So in terms of, I mean, we saw from the LED screen across the bottom there and everything else, we saw how easy it is to use, but clearly there's going to be an element of staff, existing factory floor staff, adapting to use this system.
Well, I think what's another nice feature we do is we for basic user training, we never charge for that. So if you've got a group of the team will come down, we'll spend half a day for basic user training, showing you how to call a tray, how to store a part, and then over time, if you've had the machine 10, 15 years, and the staff have changed, or you want to have a refresher, we'll happily come out and go through that with you. I spoke to a customer only yesterday that's got our existing machines. They've had them for that length of time. We're going to be popping over and just helping them, because for us, we want you to be happy with the machine, we want you to love it, and if we can help you find a little shortcut or enter something that will make your day a lot easier, then it benefits both of us.
So if you're lucky, you might have a machine in by Christmas.
Yes.
I'll leave you two to chat later on, but thank you very much indeed for your question. Any more questions from our audience here? Yes, we have a question in the corner there. Hello there.
Thanks very much for your presentation.
Thank you.
I'm Emma from the BCMPA, the Association for Contract Manufacturers, Packers, Fulfillment Logistics. And I just wanted to ask a question about the weight, because obviously if you've got a pallet of labels, that could be a ton of weight. So is the weight the restriction? Did you just say 1 ton was a max?
So it depends. So because all the machines are made bespoke, we'll work with you to see what's the best size. So for example, if you were looking at storing a pallet, we could decide that it makes sense to store it on a machine that's got a 1200, 800 or whatever the footprint might be. And that would allow you to go up to a ton with no problem. But often when we're looking at storing things like that, it's a bit of a question, because do we want to store it on the pallet, or actually does it make more sense to have it, can you decant it if you are storing labels? And that means we can maybe go for a wider pick face, potentially a lower weight. And then because we know we've only got 37.5 millimeters between the product, then it means we can get a lot more products in there. But we can do that. So yeah, as I said, it's a ton, up to a ton per tray. The majority of our customers, I would say, probably go for around half a ton because we go for a slightly wider tray, but it varies. But we'd come out and we'd work with you and go through the different options. And the nice thing is we can produce as many quotations or specifications or solutions as you might need. So if you think potentially you want one that's going to be storing pallets, fantastic. We do a low-level pallet machine that allows you to fork a pallet straight in and store it. We'd probably suggest that in that instance, but then we'd probably ask the question of, does it make sense to bring label storage in a different way?
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Thank you.
Great question. Thank you very much indeed. I think we're going to have to call it for now. We are out of time for this session, but I've really enjoyed working with you and with Job and hearing about the product. There's such a broad applicability for something like this, obviously at an event like PPMA, but in other industries as well. So thank you for bringing it to life here on stage, and indeed for bringing it to life on your stand as well. If you would like to see this in real life, then head over to the stand. I think you said A112?
122.
What, 122?
Yep.
In the corner over there. I can see it buzzing up and down as we speak. But for now, everyone, I invite you to put your hands together for Steve and for Job from Industore. Thank you very much.
Cheers.